Welcome back to Phillips Hot Rod Garage. Well, it's Christmas. Stole some lights from my wife. We gotta have some Christmas lights. These things always get tangled. That ought to work. All right, it's Christmas. We had to have some lights. All right, guys, well, this is part 3 of the subrail install on the Model A coupe. We're putting these curved rear subrails in the car from Steadfast Manufacturing. They're curved to fit the 32 frame rail, so we're gonna be able to make this 28 coupe fit on this 32 frame real nice. All right, so in the first video, we got the car all squared up. We shot a laser line down through the car, got all the squareness of the car right, got all that figured out. In the second video, we started trying to put the subrail into the car, and we got it to fit the quarter panel area back here at the back. We got that figured out. But I ran into a little snag up here in the wheel well. Didn't know what I wanted to do on that. So I decided to take off for a little bit in the video right there, scratch my head a while, try to figure it out. Looked at some photos. Some of you guys left some comments. I really appreciate it. Tons of comments on that last video. I really appreciate that. So I think I know what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna go ahead and get started. Got plenty of work to do, so let's get at it. All right, so the first thing I gotta do is get this new subrail to go down flush with the old subrail. Now this is the part that I've kind of been not wanting to really do, because if I cut too much off the original subrail and it ends up too short, I'm going to have to add back to it, and that's just going to cost me more work. I don't want to do that. I want to get it cut just right, but really there's not a whole lot of way to go about it. I mean, it's pretty much just mark it, cut it, hope for the best. So I'm going to just mark it, cut it, and hope for the best. Let's get it done. And that's the beauty of having a welding machine. If you cut too much off, you can always put it back on. Yep. And now I got to get it back out of here. All right, so I'm coming all the way to here because of this rust. I noticed some guys cut the subrails off back here and put them in. I'm coming all the way to here. Hopefully I'm not messing up. I think it's gonna work out okay. So we're gonna try it and see. All right, so I'm trying to put a square in here. Hopefully I can get this thing lined up and cut it off square. Maybe cutting it off square is the right thing to do. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. Well, this is when things start to get serious. Yep, it's kind of hard to get in there. I got this piece of tubing in the way. What shall I do? That worked like a champ. Square and marker. Where did you go? Where did you go? There they are. All right, so the bottom of my quarter panels are rusty on both sides, giving me access to the subrail right here to cut it off. Now what I've been seeing people do online, and if you're putting some of these in yours, you may have to do this. I see the guys cut them off up here, so they got plenty of room to get in there to cut. It would be easier, but I just don't want to cut it off. I got enough room from the rust that I can get in there. But what I do have to do is I've got to mark it. So I'm just going to run this square from the inside. I got to find where I need to cut it at. Run this square through here. Right there is where I need to mark it. Yeah, right there. So there's me a cut line. I should have enough left to get a good cut line here. Yeah, that should be pretty flat across there. I'm gonna go with it. Pretend like it is anyway. And that looks like it's lining up with where I stopped my cut at the top, so that ought to be pretty good. Now I might have to cut a little groove in there to be able to fit my blade in, because this blade won't fit above the frame rail right there. I could jack the body up and all that, but I'm not getting into all that. I'm gonna cut a groove right here, just high enough that I can get my blade in, then I'll finish cutting it up. There's more than one way to do all this stuff, you know? Just because I do it one way doesn't mean you have to do it that way. I mean, we could all do it the way Bad Chad does it, I guess. I watch Bad Chad, I like Bad Chad. I just don't do everything the way Bad Chad does, and Bad Chad doesn't like do everything the way I do. All right, let me get it cut. Barely touched my frame rail. Didn't hurt it. It's not gonna work. This is what I need. All right, this should get it cut the rest of the way off. There we go. That's it, it's loose. Now we just gotta hope that I cut it in the right place. There it is. Well, hopefully that's right. Hey, it went in. It fell in there. Well, I gotta grind a little off right here so it'll go in. All right, it's getting close over here. See what's holding it. All right, now, I had to cut a little bit more off of the sawzall, and that totally messed me up at the back. There we go. Ah, it's a miracle. It fits. It fits. It fits, guys, it fits. That's good. That is good. All right, I'm gonna clamp it in place, and then I gotta check out what I gotta do on this wheel well right here. Pair of clamps, vice grips. That's pretty good right there. Well, I don't think you're gonna get much better than that. Looks pretty good. All right, so this part right here, that part and that part are flush with each other. From the side right here, this part's flush, and then from the top right here, this is flush across here. I got the perfect gap too, just enough to weld up. That's perfect. Now this piece goes right here. Just like that. But the only problem with that piece is they made it too short. It's got to go all the way back to right there, which leaves me a gap right here. Why did they make that piece so much shorter than the subrail? That's something I don't know. I don't understand. So, I'm gonna have to make another piece to go in here. Because there's not enough of this original one to cut off. Well, that won't be a problem. I'll get it figured out. Now I got to figure out what to do right here on the wheel well. That's next. All right, guys, I'm going to go about this the easy way. I'm going to take this cut-off wheel. I'm going to put it right here above the subrail and just cut through the wheel well. Then I'm going to cut out that piece of wheel well that's below the subrail. I'm going to cut all that out. So the quarter panel will shift in. When the quarter panel comes in, this notch in the wheel well will be sticking in, and I'll be able to mark around it, and that'll give me a good indication of where I need to go about notching that subrail. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to go ahead and cut through the wheel well. It's really hard to see what I'm doing right there. All right. Yeah, it worked out pretty good. Yeah, it worked out pretty good. Got to go a little bit further. There's what was in my way. I didn't cut enough off of that right there. Cut some more right here. That's, yeah, gotta cut some more. I gotta cut some more right here. That's got it. I should be able to clamp that up to it now. Should be able to. And I'd say that looks pretty good right there. Tucked up against the wheel well the whole way down. Everything, everywhere except for that notch right there. All right, so now that I've got the subrail in place and got it fitting, you can really see what's got to be done right here in this area. The recess right here, it looks like it goes in about maybe 3/16 of an inch or so, quarter to 3/16. I haven't measured it, but it looks about like 3/16 or so. The problem is, if I notch the subrail, that's going to be a lot of work to do that. I got to notch it, I got to make a piece to go in there, I got to weld it in, and then I've got to buy some original wheel wells to go back in here so that I can get all that to fit. Now I don't want to notch it out right now because I don't have the wheel wells, and I think that I'm better off to wait on putting the wheel wells in until I get the trunk opening squared up. So I'm going to be waiting on that anyway, so there's really no need to go ahead and notch this. But let's just say if I just put some flat wheel wells in here and did away with this recess. If I did, the wheel well would extend to here and just weld in basically to a point here at the bottom of the quarter. And that's not a bad thing because the back looks like that from the factory. So you're only looking at about 3/16 of an inch further out right here. Nobody's ever going to notice it unless they're looking for this recessed area. Now this recessed area does not have to be there. I think it's there to give you a little bit more room for your fender to go in or something. I'm not really sure, but I'm not going to be running fenders anyway. This is a fenderless car. If you're going to put a Model A coupe on a 32 frame and you plan on running fenders and running boards, it kind of defeats the purpose of making a coupe on a 32 frame to begin with, because you know, if you put fenders and running boards, you hide the 32 frame. And that's the beauty of the 32 frame, is to leave it fully exposed and build a fenderless car. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Now this part would be a lot easier to just leave this flat and put the flat wheel well in. It'd be a whole lot easier, getting tongue-tied. But if you were to put the flat wheel well and leave the flat subrails in, it would be a lot easier. But putting the recess back in it would be more original. Originality doesn't really matter at this point. Got a 32 frame, putting a HEMI in it, 4 carburetors. Gonna chop it. So it's just something I gotta think about for a while. But since I don't have to do this right now, I can wait. I'm gonna go ahead and fit the other side, fit the cross members, work on the floor pans. I got a lot of work I can do before I have to worry about this. So I'm gonna just let this go a while. We're gonna sleep on it a while longer. I don't really have to get involved in that right now. I'm glad I went ahead and cut it out so that I could see how it was gonna look. And I just don't think it's gonna look that bad. I'm to the point with it that I don't think it's gonna matter either way. It's just gonna be personal preference, judgment call type deal. I don't think it's going to matter. So I guess we'll see in the future what I decide to do. So now it's time to get on to something else. But Ratfink says it's too cold to work. All right, guys, I'm really pleased with the progress that I'm making on those subrails. I got everything figured out now. So next week, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the passenger side look like the driver's side. We're gonna match all the work we did on the driver's side on the passenger side. So we're really coming along with that. It's looking good. But right now what I'm doing is I'm setting up something for my wife and kids. They want to do something special for you guys. So we're going to do a little Christmas special for you guys. So be sure to watch that video. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching the channel. We're getting somewhere on the Model A. We're back on it again next week. Merry Christmas to you guys. Merry Christmas from our family to yours. Be sure to watch our Christmas special. I appreciate you all. Merry Christmas to all. Have a good one. See you in the next one.